think it's important for people to understand the history of McKeesport in a brief form. McKeesport was a city where there was the largest pipe mill in the world, produced more steel pipe than anywhere else. And because of that, it became a growing city. At the time that I grew up here, there were over 60,000 people. And to give you an idea what that meant, there were 7 furniture stores in downtown McKeesport. There were 78 churches, and the churches represented the many, many people who came here from all over Europe and elsewhere to work in that mill. It was an amazing, amazing time. I was growing up during the 60s, and when I was growing up, we were at our peak. McKeesport High School had the highest number of graduates in the class of 1964, which was mine, just shy of 1,000 by a few students. 3.5 years later, I came back to teach in that high school. My students were only 3 years younger than me in some cases. But it was an incredible time because during those few years, McKeesport had started to lose its steel industry, and what was happening was brutal for the schools. They were losing finances, they were losing hope, they were losing people, and it was a very tough time. And that was when I met Jane Berger and David Burkholz. They had asked the district administration in McKeesport, because of its problems and its growing angst in making ends meet, to think about who might be willing to volunteer to lead an effort to work on behalf of the McKeesport area. They asked district administration, they asked the board, and they asked others. And everybody said, call Linda Croushore, she'll do it. Finally, one day I said, okay, I can't resist. I have to try it. It's too exciting not to say yes to. So it was an incredible beginning. And she helped me raise the first $30,000 for the consortium. That was its first year's budget. The first thing we did was have a desire to reward effort, energy, and talent among the teachers who worked so hard to do their best for kids. And we tried to figure out, what would we call this thing? It was going to be some kind of a grants program. And we said we wanted to reward great ideas. So let's call it Great Idea Grants. And that's what we did. The other thing that we did early on, we were the McKeesport Education Consortium at that time, but we had coffee and donuts with the superintendents from the region. Now, we didn't have much money, but what we had, we spent in McKeesport, and we had conversations with the rest. And they said, we don't think this is quite fair. We think that we ought to be able to get some money to do work that we want to do as well. And so within 18 months of our beginnings, we increased the size, changed the name, so that the consortium was now the Mon-Valley Education Consortium, and there were 20 school districts. So we went from 1 to 20 overnight. As school districts began to talk with other people in their system besides those that had a similar job, they began to realize that they shared common beliefs, common practices, common yearnings, common thinking. And as they found that they could trust each other, they began to make a difference. And the work truly was centered on the kids. And the community also became part of those conversations. And they also began to have a different attitude toward their schools. So it was a very exciting time for the consortium. Our work was never about being thanked for what we were doing, but to watch the pride grow in the schools as they addressed their own problems. It was truly remarkable and wonderful, and I loved that work.